Welcome everyone. So we're doing another edition of Shitlords Unite. Well, this week I think we're gonna talk just about games, unless there's some interesting going on in the chat. I think that would be interesting if people have some interesting takes on stuff. But I posted what we were gonna talk about in the stream. So it's Kingdom Deliverance being racist or being allegedly racist, and EA and the damage control regarding Battlefront and the mess therein. So we're going to start out with the first topic, which is actually in the title, which is Kingdom Deliverance. So
Kingdom Come Deliverance, yes, indeed.
just starting out, well, what do you know about the game, DR Freak?
I know that it was created by Daniel Vavra, who's been fairly active on Twitter during the development of this game, and he ran afoul of the ones who try to gatekeep and enforce political correctness and this, that, and the other. And he basically told him to jog on, and he didn't care, and is going to make the game that he wanted to make, not what they wanted to make. And if they're not his target audience, well, then that's just the way it goes. And as a result, we've seen he's posted some seriously good sales numbers. It looks like, from what I understand.
Yeah, and it's a Kickstarter game, which is really, I think, from all the success stories from regarding like the Kickstarter stuff. I think this has to be the most successful, at least when it comes to games, that has come out of Kickstarter ever. I think,
Yeah,
and
and what's interesting about it though is that we see a lot of like indie games that go for uh, what you call it, that'll go for Kickstarter to secure funding, but it's very rare to see a AAA tier game where it's got this massive world and you know and a long development cycle on it. It's unusual to see a game of this caliber go through Kickstarter, but it's great to see it actually succeed.
oh hey, Zach, you finally
Yeah,
joined.
I just
Um,
noticed you jumped in too.
yeah, we're talking about the first topic about Kingdom Come Deliverance. Do you have any like just initial thoughts before we dive into like?
I have. I don't really know anything about it, I'm afraid. So,
Oh well, we were just talking a little bit about it because Kingdom Come Deliverance is basically just a Kickstarter game with you know who Daniel Vavra is, right?
uh, sounds vaguely familiar.
Well, he was the pro GG not journalist developer during the height of GG.
Oh yes, there was a whole bunch of stuff on Twitter of people complaining about, like, oh,
Yep.
his game's doing well, so this is the worst thing that's ever happened to humanity since Trump.
yeah,
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 pretty much.
that basically sums it up pretty well.
There's a
And
certain amount of Schadenfreude to be had with this whole thing, just in the way that it's you when you attack somebody and tell them they're doing something wrong and they tell you to jog on. It's very it's a there's a bit of Schadenfreude to be had when that person does well with their project, and the people that didn't that tried to change it to suit their needs are left foot in the bill and eating their own slice of humble pie, which I've eaten that more times than I care to admit, and it's not exactly appetizing. I'll tell you that.
I think that's because video game industry isn't a communist one, so we're not forced to play games. We actually spend our money on what we
yeah,
want.
Yeah,
but I think the why I put the kind of the provocative title of saying Kingdom Come Deliverance is racist is because a certain crowd and journalists as well. We have Patrick Klepek and also the guys at Giant Bomb who refuse to cover the game because they don't they think it's racist. It's being accused of being racist because first of all, it's in Bohemia, so it's in the Czech Republic area, and because it's Europe, there were no black people in the 15th century, I believe it was, and they actually had historians. I think there were 3 or 4 historians for accuracy for the game. So they did their homework with this game. Now the gameplay itself, you couldn't say it's not 100% realistic because that would also probably be a little bit boring. But it's a survivor RPG if that's the best way to describe it. I think and
Yeah.
and people came out of the woodwork because yeah, games journalists are this way, and of course on other SJWs, they went and attacked the game because there were no black people, and I don't know if it's an American thing or because I haven't heard anyone in Europe.
Yeah, it is very much an American thing, which gets
Yeah.
exported to Europe. Right? They're fucking crazy. And then you get people in this country, and you go, "Why the fuck are you going on about Black Lives Matter in this country? We don't have cops with guns unless you're talking about special units, right? Not every cop. We're not having people getting gunned down everywhere, right? It's not. It's just not happening, right? We've got other problems at the moment, which is a
You got the
tangent.
police seizing those evil butter knives that can be turned
Yeah,
into bayonets.
Well,
yeah. But I mean, the basic point being, it's like, why are you protesting things that? I know why. You've seen Americans do it, and you think, oh,
We
that's
should be doing it
America.
too.
We live in America. Apparently, this is all I can conclude. We are the 51st state. That's all I can conclude.
yeah, well, there were
We all have our own share of issues, that's for sure.
just a little bit off topic here as well. We had a Black Lives Matter protest in 2016, and we have a like the black population in Norway is like I don't know 2% or something. It's really small, and people getting shot and killed by the police. Just shot in general is like 0.1 a year or something like that. So and usually if they're getting killed they're white. So yeah, I don't know.
It's just exported madness. Like I say, it's basically. I'm surprised that people weren't making a fuss over it. Possibly everyone was too busy playing it and having a good time and not paying any attention to the nonsense.
Well, and I'm noticing a parallel between this and with Cuphead as well. Whereas again, a game that did not have the backing of the game journalist block, for lack of better words, and still it did, and it still did very well. I mean, good grief, Cuphead went platinum in 2 weeks because it was a good game, and people and it survived on word of mouth. And I'm increased, and I said it back when we talked about Cuphead, and I'm gonna say it again. We are increasingly seeing the irrelevance of games journalism in its current state.
Yeah,
That's because it's
I
completely redundant,
Yeah,
I just
and
want
they
to
don't. They don't. I mean, the reason why YouTubers and stuff are popular, it's like these people are actually playing the game, so you can't get past that, really, can you? You got people.
yeah.
It's like talk about games. Are you talking about games? No. Why are you talking about politics? It's like most people want to get away from that bullshit when they're relaxing. Not. It's like, oh no, the most relaxing thing I can possibly think of is to get all het up about whatever injustice is going on in the world. It's like, my God, give me a 10-minute break at least, please.
yeah. So the thing that I just wanted to I don't want to go through the entire article, but the quotes here I found really interesting. Here, this is Jeff Gerstmann. It's quite ironic coming from the guy who in 2000 and what was it 2008 got fired from GameSpot for actually being very ethical, and now he's done a 180. Here, I can't speak for the rest of the crew, but I personally have no interest in any way covering or giving further attention to a game made by someone who loudly and openly supports Gamergate. Um, Giant Bomb founder Jeff Gersman also gave his 2 cents on the Jeff Zone back in 21st of April. No, no, not April, February. That would be the future, April. Where some eager fans of Giant Bomb asked if they would be covering Warhorse Studios' Kingdom Come Deliverance, which sold over 1 million copies in 1 month. Jesus Christ, that's a
Over a
lot.
million copies in a week?
Yeah,
So it beat Cuphead.
yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Gersman explained it didn't come up during the call-in show yesterday. Saw a few people talking about this offside and thought it might come in the chat room. Anyway, a couple of us looked at it around at the time it came out and didn't find it interesting enough to pursue. The head guy's shitty views certainly don't help, but I doubt we'd cover it either way.
Which is why you're not relevant. So congratulations.
Yeah, and this is the interesting part right here. It seems odd that a game which has collectively generated at least 8% of all the views on this very site over the last 27 days wasn't interesting enough for Giant Bomb. There's significant interest and engagement from community with a Steam chart showing that the game peaked at 95,863 users playing consecutively and now averages around 25,000 players a day since its release.
That's significant.
Jesus,
That's
is
huge.
Does
For
it
a
say
single player only
consecutively?
game, that's
should-
huge.
Shouldn't it be concurrently, not consecutively?
Yeah.
yeah,
I was
probably.
thinking the same thing. Come on, Andrew Doll. English grammar, gotta go back, gotta go hit the books.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm gonna let this pass. But here as well. Yet despite the standout game of February, both in terms of sales and user engagement, Giant Bomb still decided to pass up, ignoring Warhorse Studios' new IP that this was born from crowdfunding. Giant Bomb isn't alone in boycotting proper coverage of Kingdom Come Deliverance. Waypoint also opted to avoid reviewing the game and even made an article, a forum thread, and a podcast about why they wouldn't be giving the game a proper review.
At that point, you're just giving them more publicity.
Yeah, you are. Other sites decided to use their platform to make a political statement, giving Kingdom Come Deliverance a low score for it being racist. So yeah.
Again, more publicity.
So I just wanted. This is a Streisand effect, to be honest.
It is. It really is.
Because all they're doing is making people curious about a game everyone is calling racist for no goddamn reason, and then yeah, the Corvo at EZ says, but single player games are dead, right? Yeah, I mean that's that's the second topic of the stream here, but
yeah.
We've talked about it before, and it's and trying to bury this game is exactly what they tried to do with Hatred, and it backfired with that as well. When you guys remember that during the GG.
Mm-hmm. And what's funny is Hatred wasn't even that good of a game either, from what I recall. It just it was they tried to bury it, so that made people more interested in it.
Yeah, it was basically mediocre with a provocative and controversial
premise.
Gameplay, premise and gameplay mechanics.
And as I recall, it was pretty buggy too.
Yeah, I didn't play it, so
yeah, nor did I.
Yeah, but like when Steam removed it because they didn't want it on their platform, that's a Streisand effect. and people bought it quite a lot. I think it surpassed what they expected the game to sell actually. So
So there you go.
you know, does
Just goes to
actually
show that you can't control the whims of the people. I mean, I learned that on 4chan years ago that you cannot control B. B will do whatever it damn well pleases. And if you try and direct it in one way, it will come back and bite you in the ass. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. It really is.
yeah, and this is a little bit of off topic, but um, just with the whole games journalist, I see them constantly just poking the bear of the corpse that is Gamergate. Gamergate it has been over for quite some time now, but I keep seeing them do this stuff like Kingdom Deliverance with Cuphead, calling it racist because it has a 1930s style. Like, do they really want to revive a bear that has gone into permanent hibernation? They're like poking it with a stick constantly, and trying to revive it for some reason. It wouldn't really benefit them if people came out of the woodwork again and just destroyed game journalism again.
You know, it's we're seeing game journalism really just doing their own thing, and people are just starting to ignore it now. Um it's not the relevant network that it once was. And the people that do want to find a journalism outlet, they're going to other sites. They're going to like Game Ranks. They're going to N4G. They're going to N4G is an aggregator, but
Yeah,
they're going to sites where they know the people, where they trust the people behind it. I mean, for if I can shill one site that I know, I'm good friends with one of the writers over at gamersheroes.com. I knew him from the back when I was active on Raptor. I don't know if you guys remember that site. Um, but he writes for Gamers Heroes now, and he's a great guy. He actually interviewed me when I did my Extra Life thing, and and I told him, make sure we put a little disclosure of our personal relationship, and he did. He played it above board. He was professional about it, and the site's actually a halfway decent site too. But like we're seeing people that want to find out game news are going to sites like that rather than Kotaku or IGN or PC Gamer. The bigger sites are fading into irrelevance, even though they still have these ginormous budgets, they still show up at E3 and all that. People are ignoring them now.
yeah.
I mean,
I
you look at
know.
Alexa traffic ratings for a lot of the bigger sites; they've been steadily declining. I mean, there's been spikes here and there, but for the most part, they've been declining.
Yeah, it's because they keep insulting their audience. I
Never
stopped.
bite the hand that feeds.
I was actually a big fan of podcast Beyond on IGN. Even after Colin Moriarty and Greg Miller, those were the two big personalities of IGN. They left and started Kind of Funny, and then Kind of Funny went up where Colin Moriarty left because of a stupid. It was actually a year ago, I think, when he said all quiet on International Women's Day or something like that. Because his girlfriend or wife or whatever was out of the house and doing stuff. Anyways, um, and I stopped going there because there was this guy Brian Altano. I was even part of the podcast group, and he started just insulting me personally. I'm like, why are you coming to me and insulting me when I'm your audience? I had some criticism of not even him in general, and he just started claiming I was racist, and I'm like, okay, I'm out.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah, and I just stopped watching their videos on IGN, and I see this with GameSpot as well. After I just completely, I'm not saying I'm responsible for all of this. I just see the trend that with GameSpot they even made they're trying to branch off with movies and things like that with esports, which they're getting basically it's paid advertisement when
I think
with a lot
there
of
are
the
enough. Aren't there already enough websites calling every movie racist? Don't
yeah
need any more.
yeah. So I see this at least with IGN, Polygon, GameSpot. I think they're going into obscurity because of the stuff they're doing, and Waypoint isn't even relevant and not
It was never relevant to begin with. Yeah.
yeah. And I just see as you say, people don't want. I just look at the Oscars. Look at the Oscars, all-time low rating, because people are fed up with being accused of being racist, sexist, and whatever
Yeah.
phobias, and people don't want to watch that stuff. They don't want to be preached by hypocrites who are getting accused of sexual assaulting and raping people left and right, and they're going to saying, oh, me too, time's up for white cis males, you have to shut up and listen and listen and believe.
Or for me, it's just I'm just sick and tired of all the negativity.
Yeah.
I listened, and I believe you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing about listen and believe. It's you know, it's you can't you look at it and it's you might you're by all means listen. There's nothing wrong with that, but whether or not we believe you is another story.
It's a matter of credibility.
Yeah.
It's literally where credo, the Latin for like creed, all these things have the same roots in truth. The idea, believability is a matter of like what is true, determining the truth, and the reason why the Magna Carta came into existence, part of that was to get rid of shit like trial by combat and all that shit, like dunking witches. And it's like, no, we'll have a proper trial instead. It's like, okay, we're regressing a bit. Why don't we just rip that shit up? Like, considered one of the greatest documents of history, basically the start of like the modern world, pretty much. Being considered, well, definitely if you're a lawyer, probably, but you imagine today, it's like, nah, let's go back, trial by combat, right? If you get accused, then you get given a sword and you fight, and whoever wins is obviously in the right because God allowed them to win. Some bullshit like that. I don't know. Literally, that seems to be what it's like. I don't know what else. Otherwise, it's just everyone accused. Every single accusation. It's like, well, better lock them up. We've had to build some bigger jails. Although I imagine the privatized prison system in the US will be welcoming that. There's a whole other thing about that. That's a whole massive other topic, which is kind of mental. But yes, indeed, it is. It's all pretty fucked up. Back on the topic though, this whole thing reminds me of when the original Grand Theft Auto came out in 1998.
Yes.
Journalistic supremo Max Clifford organised a fantastic PR campaign to get as many newspapers and stuff doing the whole British thing of ban this sick filth now, right? And his plan works amazingly because now we're 20 years later, and Grand Theft Auto is still going very strong. So there you are. That just proves how fucking how well this doesn't work.
Well, and I told Andrew about the Killer Spiel campaign in Germany in 2006, 2007, something like that. That was hilarious. Andrew, you remember that one, right? Remember me telling you about that?
Oh, was it last podcast?
It was a while ago. It was last year.
Oh, okay.
It was a while ago. No, that whole thing where they tried to get people to surrender their violent video games much in the same way that Australia did the voluntary surrender of the firearms. And the one dumpster that this one journalist went out to go visit and check, for the show and everything, there were the 3 Grand Theft Auto games that the journalist purchased to toss in as a symbolic gesture, to contribute. And then there was Small Soldiers for the original Game Boy and Barbie Horse Adventures for the PS1.
Yes.
Total success.
Great success. It was ridiculous too. It really was.
Pretty
But
sure playing a Barbie game would make me violent.
Well, and actually, Andrel and I were talking. I mentioned this on Andrel's last stream. There was a study that was done about a decade ago now. That was statistically relevant. It had sample size was over 1,000. They found that you're more likely to exhibit aggressive behavior after rage quitting from Tetris than you are from playing Grand Theft Auto.
That's because Putin. It's all Putin's fault, that one.
Actually, it'd be Gorbachev's fault, but
yeah.
Sorry, no, that happened before 2016. We're in current year plus. Things before that didn't happen. Nothing happened.
Yes, exactly.
I wasn't born when these things happened, although I actually was. But
we are living.
If one wasn't born, if one is not a millennial, they just do not understand how ignorance of history has no ill consequences whatsoever.
I'll have you know that I am millennial. I am a millennial.
Fucking disgusting. Kill yourself.
But yeah, also to the next point with the GTA. I mean, that protest worked really well because GTA did not become the world's biggest franchise. I think the protest worked.
It was only number 2.
Yeah. But yeah, when the greater point is. These people look at probably one of the most enjoyable hobbies there is right now, which there is a low entry point, and you can basically do it anywhere because you can have it on your phone even nowadays. I mean, Fortnite is on your phone at the moment.
Well, I remember when everyone was playing fucking Snake. It's like Snake. Everyone was playing fucking Snake.
I remember that.
And these people are so joyless, going around telling other people what they should think about a game, because they can't fathom that people just want to play certain video games because they think they're fun and interesting, and something to escape all the crap with politics and the bullshit you see every day. And people are just getting sick with it within movies and in games, and just don't want to listen to these people preaching when they're the ones, as we see with the anti-Gamergate crowd, the journalists getting arrested left and right and center of rape, sexual assault, and all this type of stuff. And it just sounds so much to projection that these people are the racists themselves and just want to portray everyone else as what they're themselves.
That's bad people, yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I also think nobody is just what.
It's a bit like the 90s, where there didn't seem to be a day go past where you didn't hear a news story about some evangelical Christian being found with some fucking rent boy or whatever, or a Tory MP. Tory MP would have fucking be found. It happens. That sort of political scandal. It seems to be the modern equivalent. Is hardly seems to be a day where a soy boy isn't found to be a complete creep in one manner or another. It's like it's a fucking warning signal, isn't it?
Yeah, no kidding.
The lady doth protest too much.
Definitely.
And I just. They're trying to take out the fun for everyone, and fortunately
make everyone as miserable as them.
Yeah. And there's the viewpoint now. There's for those who are know wrestling, like it's good when you get a reaction, either if it's when you're coming to the ring or just in general when you're a wrestler, for instance. It's good. You getting a reaction, whether it's good or it's bad. But the worst thing is when you got no reaction at all.
The worst possible outcome is to be irrelevant.
Yeah. So that's what's happening with these journalists is that these people are just continuing writing this stuff, and they're expecting people either on both sides either to praise them or just rage at them, visit their site and write all these nasty things that they claim we do, and
that in turn justifies their their screed even further.
Yeah, and that's not happening anymore because people aren't even angry anymore because we're almost 4 years since Gamergate started, and people are just they've literally been called everything in the book. I've been called literally everything in the book: Nazi, racist, xenophobic, homophobic, transphobic, whatever these people want to call people. And these slurs or pejoratives they want to put at you on you as a person, they don't work anymore because in the end everyone is a Nazi nowadays, and it doesn't work.
And the word has no bite.
Yeah, and so basically when people call a game like Kingdom Come Deliverance, it has the opposite effect because these Puritans are calling this game racist.
They did the same thing with The Witcher as well, remember?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and it's basically people, these Puritans are calling this game racist. Maybe it's interesting. Let me check it out. And as we saw, 1 million units sold in the first week is huge.
Ridiculous. That is astronomical.
That is absolutely huge for such a small game to sell 1 million in 1 week, and to have concurrent players of almost 100,000 players at one point, and steadily at around 25,000 people playing at any time. That's ridiculous.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we spent half an hour on this topic. I think it's time for us to move to the second part of the stream, which is
Electronic Arts kicking them while they're down.
Well, I think DR Freaks, you sent me the link, so
yeah.
Why don't you introduce us what has happened with EA lately? I can screen share the message afterwards, but just give us the.
So I stumbled upon Legacy Killa HD on YouTube this past week, and he's had some interesting commentary over the past year, and I found that a lot of his game dev stuff, when he's not talking about Anita Sarkeesian, it's actually really fascinating. When he rambles on about that, I'm like, shut up already. Anyways, he posted a video about Anthem and how Bungie is running into trouble with the game internally. Several of the writers that have been involved with the game, including some that have been involved with BioWare all the way back to Knights of the Old Republic, have left, and how the game is not tested well internally. There's concerns about the overall direction of the game and whether or not it will live up to the expectations, or if it, and with this latest delay, pushing it back to 2019, but Electronic Arts refusing to call it a delay, there's a lot of people scratching their heads and wondering what's to become of this game. I'll be honest, when I saw that E3 trailer with the whole, exploring the world and having your friends drop in with you, I thought it looked pretty cool. But again, EA, I said I'm not gonna hold my breath, and I'll wait until it comes out, and then I'll make my decision. And it looks like that's actually, unfortunately, coming to relevance again. As terrible as to say, because it actually does, honestly, I think it is an interesting idea. But on top of that, we also had another announcement from Electronic Arts about the loot box system and how they're revamping it for Star Wars Battlefront 2. And Total Biscuit posted a tweet about it, and that's what I shared with you, Andrew Dull. Honestly, so the gist of this change is that they are removing the transactions for Star. They're redoing the Star cards entirely, where as you play with the hero, you unlock new stuff. But they're grandfathering in everybody that purchased loot boxes prior. So there's going to be some people that are massively OP, and everybody else is kind of grinding to get up to the point. But on the one hand, it's great that they're actually bringing it back to, you grind, you keep playing, you play well with one tune and you with one class, and you get stronger in that class. But at the same time, it's EA. I'm of the opinion they're going to find a way to fuck it up somehow.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because one of the things that they're looking to do is the loot boxes and the crystals that you can purchase, instead of going towards progression-based things, you'll instead open up loot boxes to get cosmetic items, different skins for your heroes and your ships and your weapons, and then you'll occasionally get credits which you can use to open additional credits to open something else, and I don't remember what exactly.
Yeah, I have that thing. We can go through it in detail. But
I'm just gonna pull that back up here. But yeah, you were saying.
So we have first the Anthem thing, and knowing EA, they're gonna fill it with microtransactions.
And that's one of the reasons why they're delaying it. Is at least that's my opinion. Because I get the impression that EA is backpedaling on Anthem now that they've seen what has happened with Battlefront 2 and EA MMA and Need for Speed, which have all have been high profile flops in the past 12 months. I suspect that they had a similarly aggressive microtransaction scheme in place that they are now scrapping to try and cut off the negative publicity at the pass.
That's a really good point, because I bought Need for Speed for I think 70% off or something. There was a big EA sale on the PSN store, and like the game in itself is not bad, but when the progression system is actually random what you get. And so you can basically just driving around doing tasks, but it's basically like loot boxes, but a little bit different. You basically choose one thing you want. You have 3 different options, and you choose one of them, which brand or what type of part of the car you want, or what type of a bonus you want, and you can choose one of them. And you basically spin the wheel, and you get a part, and maybe it's good for you. That the whole entire point of a car is you know which part you want, and you purchase. What is wrong with every other single game in car game history, where you have an RPG system and buy a part where you get the credits through playing the game, and you upgrade your car that way? What is wrong with doing that? I have no idea why they did this.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that, because Clean Price Gaming posted a video recently talking about Need for Speed and the arcade racer, and how going from
I actually saw
high stakes going into the loot box has killed the. And honestly, I would agree with Clean Price in this regard. EA killed the arcade racer genre as a whole.
Yeah.
With a new Need for Speed every year for, it was like 23 years, we've had 21 different Need for Speed games.
Yeah.
I think is what he said. It's ridiculous. But he's right. I mean, he's absolutely right.
I mean, Rivals was crap. It was basically for the launch of the next generation of Xbox One and PS4. And then they took 1 year off, I think, and revamped with a new studio, Go Studio, and made a new just Need for Speed, and that was a really really good game. I actually did a
Yeah, it
platinum
was
of it.
Criterion that made that one, as I recall.
No, Ghost. They put Criterion. The people who worked on at Criterion put them in Go Studios,
Oh,
and
okay.
they still have a small like I think 20 people working at Criterion, but they did the space combat for Battlefront, for instance. So they're working on basically support as a support studio, and that was an excellent game, and the Payback is also would have been a really great arcade racer had they not implemented this system, because
That and the story, as I recall, was less than desirable.
well, in the Need for Speed for 2 years ago or something like that, when it was released, they knew what they had was cheesy, and they had these real life cutscenes with these people. Just I think it was basically ad lib. They basically had some directions because it didn't seem rehearsed or anything like that, because they seemed very in their element and talked naturally, and it was a little bit cheesy, but it was cool seeing, and it was something different. And then
Yeah,
they went back to the formula with this cheesy storyline, which is typical, like the Need for
almost
Speed
felt like something out of
run.
Need for Speed movies, or
Yeah,
Fast and Furious movies, rather.
yeah, and it did not work for me, and don't think for most people. And yeah, and when it comes to UFC 3 and Battlefront, we all know why Battlefront. I think that's such a big disaster for EA, that they have to reconsider a lot of things.
Yeah.
So let's go into the updates. You haven't said anything, Deus Ex. Is there anything you want to add?
Not really. I don't really care about this genre. I, I like I played what Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, I think, and that was ages ago. That must be like 10 years ago.
PlayStation
Yeah.
1, I think, or something.
No,
Yeah, it was
it's
when it first
PlayStation
came out.
2.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, no,
I know it's PlayStation 2 because I remember it's like when we were living in the flat, we had a PlayStation 2, and
yeah, it
we had
came
So it's
out
Need
the
for Speed.
same.
probably Underground, maybe.
No,
No,
I think no, it's
it came
Hot
in
Pursuit.
Oh,
two,
right, they did do a Hot Pursuit on the PS2. I forgot about that.
yeah, 2008 or something.
Something like that. Yeah, they did. There's like a revamp of Hot Pursuit. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been 2005 because
Oh,
that's when
okay.
I was living there. So there we go. That's about my for me and Atty. I liked Burnout Revenge, and I couldn't find that anywhere. I was like, oh, that sucks. I'd have to buy a PS2.
You
But
know,
anyway,
while we're talking about Burnout, one of my favorite arcade races, and I actually commented about this on Clean Price Gaming's video, is this one called Split Second on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
I remember that.
Microsoft just gave it away for free on Games with Gold last month. And it is the spiritual successor to Burnout, and Disney shut down the studio because it flopped commercially. And there's actually a petition to get Disney to release Split Second 2, because they were actually developing it, and it was about halfway done before Disney shut down the studio.
It's like the Battlefront 3 thing, where
Yeah,
it's such a shame that game never came out. But yeah, let's look at the statement they
yeah.
um
So the big takeaway here is
we can look at each of these points.
yeah,
The
with this update, the
4 points.
progression is now linear, and that's really the big point. And they made this the first point. I'm glad they did, because that was the most important one. Star cards or any other item impacting gameplay will only be earned through gameplay and will not be available for purchase. I hope for their sake they stick to it. So they're doing more of a experience-based progression instead of a loot box-based progression. You earn XP for classes, hero characters, and ships that you choose to play in multiplayer. And if you earn enough experience points to gain a level for that unit, you receive one skill point that can be used to unlock or upgrade an eligible star card that you want to equip on that character, class, or ship. That's huge. That's bringing it back to where it should have been.
But again, I pose this question: why the fuck didn't they do this from the very launch?
Oh, you'll get no
People-
argument out of me on that one.
Yeah, but people already told DICE all of this in the beta. They made minuscule changes, and when it came out, they were still surprised that people were pissed off. I'm just, Jesus Christ. Here, you'll keep everything you've already earned unlocked. Yeah, anything other than that would have been a catastrophe.
Yeah.
You will keep all of the star cards, heroes, weapons, or anything else you've already earned. What you have earned will still be available to use with this update, regardless of how much or little progress you've already made.
That's the one part that kind of worries me, is that we're going to have these whales that dropped $1,000 on the game
Yeah.
that are going to be head and shoulders better than everybody else. EA has to balance the game so that the people that have you're paired against players that are at or near your skill level and your level of unlocks. I mean, it's if they don't, it's going to cause a lot of issues here.
Deus, do you have any comments?
This is why I don't play those sort of multiplayer games. It's just like, that's way too much hassle.
Well, and I'm also
Way
of the
too
opinion
much.
that this just might be too little too late.
Yeah.
You know?
Crates no longer include star cards and cannot be purchased. Crates are earned by logging in daily, completing milestones, and enough time challenges. Inside these crates, you'll find credits or cosmetic items such as emotes or victory poses, but nothing that impacts gameplay. Again, they should have done this from the very start. People, actually, the more ridiculous these outfits are, I think the more people would love them. Have a pink Darth Vader. Why not?
We could actually have a Hello Kitty Vader with a pink
why
and
not?
white.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but
it actually exists.
but have some fun. Because the first Battlefront game, they were kind of feeling things out. I kind of get that. It wasn't optimal. It's a perfect. I would call it a perfect 7 out of 10 game. It has potential, but it kind of fell short of what it would make it a great game. And in this one, they could go all out, because all they have when it comes to canon in Star Wars, which is a mess. No, by the way, I don't want to get into the new Disney canon under Disney management, but they can exclude all this ridiculous stuff and just keep serious in the story mode, and then have some fun with the multiplayer by adding all these kind of skins and have a little bit of fun. And people would probably love to buy that stuff for cosmetic.
Oh yeah, you look at Paladins and Overwatch, where they have skins upon skins upon skins, and people will go out of their way to collect them. But it does not change their overall skill level to use one skin over another. The stats still stay the same. All that matters is your overall skill, and that works.
Yeah,
it really does.
And here, crates no longer. Oh, I read that. Starting in April, you'll be able to get an appearance directly through in-game credits or crystals. The first new appearances are coming soon, meaning you'll be able to grab new looks for your heroes, troopers directly by using either credits in-game or crystals available to purchase in-game and through first-party stores. If you ever dreamed of being a part of the Resistance as a Rhodian, your chance is round to. Yeah, see. This should have been done 6 months ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is why people hate EA, because they're so tone deaf. They have IPs that people love and manage to fuck them up every single time.
Without
I played.
fail, really.
Yeah, I played a little bit through the beta of Battlefront 2, and so yeah, it's a decent game. And then I just heard about all of it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna give them money. Fuck them. I'm not gonna give them money for basically having a pay to win system. Well, what was it, 80 hours to get? No, 40 hours to get either Luke or Darth Vader, or
More
pay.
than.
Yeah,
More than, really.
yeah, but to get both, you had to play 80 hours of just in and have some luck with the loot boxes as well. That's
I
ridiculous.
heard the for complete unlock would have taken upwards of 2,000 hours.
Yeah, or $1,300.
Yeah, something ridiculous. It was just absurd.
And yeah, this is what again what our previous topic was. We have these games journalists that completely ignore this stuff with consumers, and they just want to bitch about everything being racist or sexist, and have some sort of agenda.
If they had a
Instead
if they had a pink Darth Vader, they probably would complain about that.
yeah, that's true. But instead of doing their job as someone that is supposed to protect the consumer and inform the consumer, they're just bitching about everything being racist.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you said you had 1 hour. We have a few minutes left. So,
Yeah, I think that covers the majority of the stuff. Unless you've got something else that you wanted to ask us about.
no, not really. I just want to hear your closing opinions on actually both topics. What do you? I go with DDR Freak, but on both topics, any closing statements?
Well, I think with the way I think EA is finally starting to realize that their business as usual is not working. They've kicked the wrong hornet's nest. They were able to get away with it for years because of this, that, and the other, but I think they got too greedy this time, and now it's starting to come back to them. Gives me a little bit of hope for Titanfall 3 that they'll have to dial it back for that, but I'm still worried about that, especially because Respawn just announced that they are partnered with EA, and now they're an in-house EA studio. Having seen what's been going on, that leaves me very worried about Titanfall, because I like Titanfall, I really do. It's Call of Duty with giant robots and none of the preteen kids shouting expletives about my mother. As terrible as it is to say. So it's there's hope, but not much. And honestly, they've done so much damage in the past 5-6 years that the damage control efforts that they're making right now really are too little, too late. But I mean, we'll see what comes out of it. Maybe they might actually change things. You never know.
Yeah, any closing thoughts on the Kingdom Come stuff?
I am happy to see an indie dev succeed as well as they have. I said the same thing with Cuphead, and I hold the same excitement for Ember when Mark Kern finally finishes that. It's great to see indie devs making big titles without the AAA publisher bureaucracy included with it. So congratulations, Daniel Vavra. You've earned that. You've earned every bit of that.
All right, and Deus Ex, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, money talks, bullshit walks. It's not really any more complicated than that. As far as like success or not, it's like you can talk down a thing as much as you like. When people actually go, oh right, actually this is really good, I'll tell all my friends about it. Word of mouth, as you say, doesn't really matter. It's like the good things will rise to the top because there'll always be people who are passionate about this stuff who really aren't concerned with what these activists are all about, because I just want to play some good games, watch some nice movies, listen to good music, all those things that are entertainment for the purposes of pleasure. If it's not pleasurable, why the fuck would you do it? And that brings you on to the whole loot box thing, which is if I already spent money on something, and it's not like I don't see the point of, if I wanted to play an online casino, I could go and actually win some money back from the fucker, maybe. But this is just online gambling, but you get some digital thing, which is literally bits and bytes. I don't see the point. I have no interest. I will never purchase such a game ever.
Yeah.
I'll play it for free, but there's no chance of me purchasing it for full price.
Oh yeah,
that's a fair point. When I just generally the amount of disappointment when it comes to my thoughts around the ESRB, not admitting that they want to label games as having loot boxes and things like that. That's probably my biggest disappointment with within the industry and also the journalists.
Well, it's simple. You just get the kids. It's like, oh, you're going to be teaching the kids to gamble. They're going to become gambling addicts, and they'll take all the drugs, and they'll end up on the streets of Las Vegas sucking cock for a quarter, to put in the slotty.
Yeah, and just that's probably my big like there has been no regulation from ESRB or just internally in the industry when it comes to EA. They just become too big, too greedy, and in the end, the gamers call them out and are not buying their games because they are sick of the crap that EA is pulling with their games. And when it comes to Kingdom Come Deliverance, the journalists calling this game so-called journalists, I will just call them activists from now on, because they have they don't have any ethics, they don't have any integrity, and they don't want to look at it objectively or even pose both sides of an issue, just like when we quoted Jeff Gerstmann early in the stream. They don't want to look at things truthfully, and that's why I think people they are gonna be ignored because it's a dying profession, gaming journalism. I think future is gonna be just regular Joes on Twitch or YouTube or Minds or DTube or whatever, BitChute, and just either streaming games, reviewing games. I mean, Angry Joe. I can't even understand why that I'm saying this. Angry Joe has more credibility than most of the gaming industry at this point. Even though I don't really enjoy the guy, but he puts effort and informs the person viewing and spends probably 40 minutes, 30, 40, 50 minutes, depending on the game, explaining why the game is good, why the game is bad, what is part of the game, what mechanics, and all of that, and actually informs you. And yeah, it's sad it's come to this. We've
You mean basically the bare minimum of what you would expect?
yeah. So yeah, I think we've getting close to the hour mark. So I'll put your links in the description below, the Freak.
Thank you.
Give me your link, Desex, so they can watch your awesome YouTube channel that is filled with content. I'm being sarcastic.
Well, it's got videos. I've been uploading some of my 20-year-old music onto it because it's like, oh,
really?
That's content. It's fucking content, mate.
Oh, okay. I thought you were completely abandoning it. Okay, well, give me a...
No, it's just look. I have work. I have full-time fucking work. This is a hobby. It's not like I'm keeping to a schedule. It's not like I'm trying to become a fucking YouTube star or something.
Yeah,
this is just
what?
I know. Everyone's I'm gonna sit back and relax and let the ad money come in.
And one more thing, if I could chill real quick here,
Yeah.
I've just helped found a new group on Steemit called Gamers United, and basically, if you're on Steemit, you like to talk about games in general, board card, video, and you like to post about it. Gamers United is here to help you grow your network. Everybody upvotes and everybody helps share around everybody else's posts. We've got daily curation digests planned. Literally just started last Tuesday, but we're already off to a great start. And I'll get you the link to the Discord. And yeah, if you've ever heard of if you've ever seen any of this before, or if you've heard of Steemit, you've probably heard me talking about it. This is a great way to help build out your network and grow and everything. So I'll get you that link. There we go. That's for the Gamers United Discord. And yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.